So if we want to understand how the muscle growth process works, we have to understand the stress, recovery, adaptation cycle that your body essentially goes through in response to a stimulus that you apply to the body. So a stimulus you apply to the body would be the stress applied to the body, although the word stress can mean a number of things. In this context, we're going to use it interchangeably with the word stimulus. So when we stimulate adaptation, or we stimulate or provide a stress on the body, essentially that's our goal. We want to stimulate adaptation. The adaptation does not occur immediately on the spot. And a lot of people think that when they go to the gym and they lift weights, it's almost like they're building muscle as they're lifting the weights. And when they leave the gym, all of a sudden they're bigger. But that's not how it works. So initially we want to go to the gym and we want to train and we want to provide a sufficient stress or stimulus for adaptation to eventually occur. Now, that's the first part of the puzzle. The second is recovery. So immediately after you stop training, there's a sort of settling down period that your body goes through, and in the hours following a training session, there's an initial rise in fatigue in which eventually curves off and irons out, and then your body goes through a recovery phase that can last up to 1 to 3 days in some extreme cases. Now, it's usually after the recovery process reaches a certain point that your body starts to adapt. Now, this adaptation is called supercompensation. It was essentially when we offer the body a sufficient stimulus or stress, and then it goes through the recovery period, and then it starts to adapt. It's super compensating for the increase in stress that it's basically just experienced. So when you adapt and grow muscle, it's actually a 3-part process that doesn't happen on the spot. It can happen over days at a time. That's why it's important to train a muscle group and kind of leave it alone for a little while, where essentially we're initially placing a stress on the body, a sufficient enough stress to hopefully cause adaptation, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth in a different video. Then there's a recovery phase, and then adaptation or supercompensation, and then all of a sudden you are more jacked. So that's how that works. Hope that makes sense.